Hi, Brandon. Thank you so much for coming to the show. I really, really appreciate it for taking the time out for me and my audience. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. It's been a great morning so far, and I know it's afternoon time for you there, but I'm grateful for the opportunity, Russell. Thank you.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine to you coming to our show and talking about your journey. I'm super excited to know more about you and everything. We had like a podcast calls to get to know each other better, and where you mentioned like a few things about yourself. And yeah, in this episode, it'll be interesting to know more deeply about yourself and how you overcame all of the struggle you had, and also talk about like the topic which is you chose, which is be extraordinary. We're gonna get depth into it, and you're going to explain a little bit about us as well. So before we get into that, like I want to know more about yourself. Our audience would love to know more about yourself, how you became a coach, and what do you actually do right now, and what actually motivated to do what you do now.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's important to, always start at the beginning and how this whole journey started.
Yeah,
It's funny how one decision years ago can change the entire trajectory of your life. Just like when you decided to start your show, right? You
yeah.
met incredible people, and I'm sure that's changed the trajectory of everything. And the same thing was like that with me. I was in high school, 17
Mm,
years old. All my friends were getting accepted to all these different colleges, going off to school, traveling. And I wasn't one of them. I wasn't one of the kids who was applying to colleges, even though all my teachers thought it was the best idea. All my
yeah.
parents thought it was the best idea. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And, I feel that a lot of us kind of fit into the mold of other people, especially at those young ages, right?
Mm,
Where we see our friends doing something, we want to go along with the crowd. And it's the power of community. It's the power of the people you're around. And I didn't do that. I instead decided to just go into the world of sales. And I
right.
actually started to take online courses at the time, though, which was very taboo back then. It's funny because everything now is
Yeah.
virtual, everything's online.
How many
But
years
back
back that
then,
was?
it was
When did?
different.
Yeah.
It
How
was
how
taboo.
how many years back you're talking about?
I was 18 years old at this point.
Right.
18 years old, and I started working for a sales company. I started taking these online courses
Yeah.
for becoming a lawyer, and I realized how it was a lot more difficult than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I was the student in school where I didn't have to study for tests. I didn't have to you know, I was like a B plus student, A minus student, but college was a different beast. And I
Yeah.
respect everyone who does go through school and who does something with that. And there's a lot of benefits to it. But I quickly realized though, Russell, how much money you can make in sales.
Yes,
And
true.
it's huge because all you're really doing is you're solving problems,
Yeah.
right? And at the age of 18, my first year in sales, I made over $60,000.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, I never expected this, right? I'm going
Yeah.
to school to be a lawyer to earn that much money, but I'm doing that in sales. And it really wasn't a difficult job. So I was like,
Mm,
interesting. I wonder what I could do here if I didn't go to school. I wonder what I could do if I focus full time
yeah.
on sales.
And focus on
And my
one thing.
second year, yeah, I did that. I
Yeah.
did my second year. I focused full time on sales. 19 years old, 20 years old at this point. I made just shy of six figures.
Great.
The third
Yeah.
year, I made six figures. And now I'm 21 years old. I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world, right?
Yeah.
I've got the nice suits. I've got the nice guitars. I'm driving a brand new BMW at 21 years old. All my friends from high school are probably like, what the hell is he doing to make money? And at under the surface, though, it wasn't all peaches and cream, man.
Mm,
It was a lot of sadness. It was a
yeah.
lot of depression because I was only focused on the money. That's it. And the big reason for that, I believe, just looking back now, is, I was groomed from a young age to earn a lot of money. You've got to earn money. It's the most important thing you can focus on. Just earn more, save more, invest more, earn more, earn more. And the thing about that is I focus so much on earning money that I let every other area of my life slide.
Yeah. Yeah.
My fitness was lacking. Like we talked about, I was over 60
Yeah.
pounds heavier than I am now. I was in heavy levels of consumer debt because I
Mm,
didn't know how to use that money that I was earning. And it was just a really unhappy point in my life, man. I was 21, and from the outside, I looked successful as hell. but underneath, I knew that something had to change.
And it's like when you're like 18, 19 years old, even though early 20s, is oftentimes it's like proving someone, like proving your parents, proving your friends, like I'm better than you and I can do something, achieve something with my life. And especially if you're making a six-figure kind of money and you're like, wow, I made it through, right? Like if I'm being a doctor, a lawyer, it probably I'll be making the some kind of money when I'm like 27, 28 years old after like 10 years of practicing or like getting the education and everything. And oftentimes like what we see like from our parents, people around us, relative, and they oftentimes teaches us how to make more money, how to choose a career where you're going to pay you more rather than
Mm.
like what you enjoy, what's your strength, where you're going to enjoy doing what you do, right? We don't get it taught like that, right?
We're not taught that, man. We're taught, we're not even taught how to make money in school.
Yeah.
We kind of have to rely on like family for that. And hopefully your family was successful there. And I think that we could have a whole conversation about the education system in itself. But yeah, we're not taught about how to find something that you
Mm,
enjoy doing and something you're happy with. And I love how you said that, man, because I was simply focused on one thing, one area of life. It turned into the condition of more. I just
yeah.
wanted more, more, more. And to the point where, yeah, I was over six figures now. But what does that even mean? Right. After a certain point, I think the study is after you make $75,000 a year, it doesn't make you any happier to make more.
Yeah.
All it does is, yeah, you can, you buy a nice car, and then that nice car that you've been looking at for a long time just becomes normal.
Yeah.
Just buying that new BMW after a few weeks of driving it, well, probably about a month or two of driving it. It was a pretty sweet car.
It's
And
true.
the thing is, dude, I still drive BMW because I really love them. It's my third one now,
Yeah.
and it's because now I can afford it when
Yeah.
before I couldn't. But now I'm not only focused on that though. Like
Mm,
it's a piece of my life. What really matters the most to me is what you said, which is finding happiness and joy in the work
yeah.
that we're doing. And listen, I'm not telling people who are listening right now, if you're doing something that you don't enjoy, if you're doing something that drains you from joy, I'm not saying to like warp your mind and warp your mentality to like this thing. I'm not talking about brainwash. I'm talking about my entire life changed once I found my purpose. My entire life changed once I started doing the one thing, which was training new salespeople
Yeah.
and teaching people and educating people to transform their own life. Once I started doing that, my entire life changed because now I was focused not on just the money, but I was focused on making a bigger difference and impact for other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, so true. And also like where I'm gonna touch on that, which is money is like oxygen, right? So how we need to breathe oxygen, how we need the food to survive. Same with the like money is like a certain point. Uh, on average, probably if you live in New York, probably $5,000 a month enough for you with the rent or like a mortgage
Yeah,
payment and like
it
a
can be.
grocery and shopping and everything. After that, it's not like it brings you any kind of value. It could be like used as a tool for like a better life, or like if you want to give it to charity or want to make an impact on people's life, making some adjustment. So for
Yes.
an example, I'm a podcaster. Probably I can invest in like a good microphone or like a good headset or go to a laptop or something like that. Other than that, the money is nothing. Like after paying off my bills, after food and shelter and everything, or clothing, it doesn't really necessarily mean I have to buy Armani and Gucci and not make any difference comparing to the hoodie I'm wearing right now, which is like a probably $30-$40, and serve the same purpose. Like, wow, I'm going to spend $200-$300 when Gucci and making no difference on my life. Does it actually make any difference? Like, I have to tell other people, well, where are you wearing? Oh, it's a Gucci, or it's Armani, or Louis Vuitton. So it's just on our brain, like what type of car we are driving, like a Ferrari, Lamborghini, and everything. Do you actually enjoy driving the car? I I don't even want to get into Ferrari or Lamborghini. When I saw the shape of the car, it's too low and everything. I was like, this is not something. And I want to do. If it's a nice car, I'll say it's a nice car. It could be like SUV or normal standard like saloon car, right? So this is
Yeah.
me. Why I wanna, even though I have like 2-3 millions or something, why I wanna spend 300,000 or 200,000 on the car, which I don't love, enjoy riding it, or it doesn't really serve any purpose to my life. And why I want to chase that? And for that, I compromise on my health, my lifestyle, and like you mentioned, overweight, not
Yeah.
focusing on your health, not focusing on the relationship you have with your spouse, your family members, your parents, which is like a fascinating. And oftentimes we just follow right now, probably on your, when you're starting out, there was no social media like right now, like no Instagram, no TikTok. Right now is like all 19 years old, 20 years old, only flashing everything on Instagram and Twitter, making some money from online here and there, 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month, or they
Yeah.
just renting a Ferrari, or some of them actually buying it and just flashing out like, oh, I made it to success. That's not actually success. And we oftentimes we brainwash by that. Like, success is someone when we made it, like buying a big house, buying a Lamborghini. So what do you define at the moment what success is for you?
Wow, great question. By the way, I just have to touch on a couple things you said because you spoke some great truths there. And I like how you said money is like oxygen
Yeah.
because it really is. And the thing about that, though, is right now, everyone listening, ask yourself, were you thinking about the amount of air that you had in the room?
Mm-hmm.
No, you just breathe, right?
Yeah.
And you're not thinking about the amount of air. But if there wasn't enough oxygen in the room and your lungs weren't able to fully inflate and deflate and do their natural thing, that's when you'd be like, oh my God, like
This is
I,
the
I need to
something we
breathe.
least think about, right? This is the something we least
Yeah.
think about: oxygen and water. How
Yes.
if you go to Africa and if you walk like 5-6 miles to get water, then you realize how how valuable water is. Like in UK, US, like there are plenty of water every single day. Like we're having a bath, we having a shower every morning and everything. But over there, like they probably have a once a month to have a bath because there is no pure water for drinking, let alone like having a shower or bath, right?
Yes. It makes me just realize how fortunate we really are to be able to wake up and literally just go get water from the sink or the fridge or whatever it might be.
Yeah,
And the thing I'd say to everyone is get to that point where you don't have to focus and think about the money, because if all you're doing is focusing on the income, focusing on the money, if all you're in is a state of not enough, not enough, I hope I'm going to have enough to pay the bills, then yes, money might be the one area that you should focus on. Because for
mm-hmm.
me, it just honestly, it just kind of came naturally to sell and to help people and to talk to people and to make sales and to bring in the money. What I had to learn was how to focus on the other areas
Yeah,
and how to find an equilibrium, find a balance. But I'm not saying that money is not important. I'm saying that at a certain point, it stops becoming as important.
yeah,
Like what you asked me, like in New York, you could be living off, $5,000 a month. Maybe not in New York City. You might have to be earning more
yeah,
than that. But where I live, yeah, like realistically, I only need like $4,000 a month to survive. Now, I earn more than that and I use it to invest, but I'm not constantly thinking about, am I going to have enough? Am I going to have enough? Because those thoughts just create this
mm,
perpetual cycle of, am I going to have enough? Am I going to have enough? Think about it. Would you want to spend time around a person who is constantly in a state of lack, who's constantly in a state of not having enough? No, you wouldn't want to spend time around that person.
yeah.
You'd be like, this person's draining my energy. Think of money as a person. Would money want to spend time around you while you're having those thoughts?
It's true.
So it's important to an extent. And the way that I gauge success now is I'm more focused on my personal short-term goals. And
Yeah,
if I'm able to say I am making progress towards my goals each and every day, to me, that is success, because you don't build something worthwhile overnight. Like now I work with coaches and content creators and small business owners to share and sell their products and their services and actually be a coach and make money from being a coach while
yeah,
impacting other people. And if I can work every single day to make further steps towards bringing on new clients, helping them to
mm,
bring in new clients, helping them to improve their life, it's those small steps for me that help me to go to sleep at night saying to myself, I did all that I could do today in order to create success in my day and create success in my life. Every big venture and every big thing is created from those small steps.
yeah, yeah. This is like a powerful, like you mentioned everything. So what? I want to get into like a little bit back as well. So you went to like a 20K in debt. Is that like when you early 20s when you was making the six figures?
Yeah, this is when I was earning a lot of money. And it was when I was only focused on the money. I was 260 pounds. I was over $20,000 in debt. You know, some people listening might be like, oh, that's not much. My student loans are like $100,000 in debt.
Mm,
It's a little different because this was literally 20% interest on these credit card fees to the
yeah.
point where if I didn't pay them off, I kept seeing $200 interest charge, $200 interest charge month after month. And it was really freaking stressful, man. And it was
Yeah.
difficult. And at that point, I was fortunate to have a mentor come into my life. And, you know, I heavily believe in the quote, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
It's true.
And this mentor came into my life and he was a big fitness buff. And now he's like one of the world's, he's has several world records when it comes to powerlifting. His name is Keith Odell, for those who want to look him up. And he said to me, he's like, hey, man, you need to work on you. Like, you want to move up in this company, you want to be a leader, you want to start training people. He's like, there's no way in hell that I can ever have you train somebody if you're not able to train yourself, if you're
Yeah.
not able to work on yourself. And it was really difficult hearing that piece of advice, but that was the turning point for my entire life, because I realized if I want to create a better life for myself, I have to focus on my health. I have to focus on my fitness. I have to focus on getting myself into a better place before I'm able to help somebody else. And I know there's a lot of coaches out there, especially who are listening, and they want to help others.
Yeah.
And they want to help others. You see a lot of business coaches out there, people who want to help people make 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand a month. But then you look at their situation and they're not even doing that. So how can you
Yeah.
help somebody else
If
if
you're
you're
not there.
not doing it for yourself?
It's true.
And that's what he helped me do. And within the next 6 months to a year, brother, I completely transformed my life with the help of this early mentor of mine.
So he helped you through like lose your weight and also like in financial, right?
Yeah, he brought me to the gym with him 3 times a week. So he was literally, in a sense, he was a friend, but he was like a personal trainer at the same time. But
Yeah.
he was working out with me. He showed me the workouts to do. He helped me to, it wasn't even that I was eating a ton. I was just not moving. I was literally at a desk job most days talking to people, not moving, not focusing on when I was eating food, not focusing on what I was putting into my body. And he really just helped to give me a different perspective on
Yeah.
health and fitness, because I had nobody in my life who was fit, really. You
Right.
know, like he was the only person who actually had a focus on health and fitness. And you generally become the people that you spend time around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
helped me with that. And he introduced me to a book called Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And that is the same process that I used to eliminate over $20,000 of debt within 8 months. At that point, I was able to get rid of all my debts. I was able to start moving up into the company I worked for, still earning money. Now I felt great. My body felt great. I felt good about myself when I looked in the mirror. I actually shaved my head at this point in my life too. So when I was fat, I was balding. I had little, baby hairs up here. But after I started to transition into this newer, healthier me, I shaved my head. It was like my entire identity shifted.
Yeah. That's great. Like you had like a great discipline like at that point, right? So with the
Yeah.
financial wise, your personal life, your business or work wise, so you got that discipline. So bringing in a mentor will actually change your life. So you're probably looking at about like a 1 year transformation with everything combined, right?
It was a complete, I wish I could pull a picture up for you now. It was 2016 that I was really able to make the giant changes. 2015 is when I began. And oh my God, man, you wouldn't even recognize the person. You wouldn't recognize them. You probably, obviously people's faces and eyes are the same, but from me then to me at that point, like just, you can feel confidence.
Yeah.
You can feel when somebody radiates confidence. And the thing that I really want to impress upon people was at this point, this 1 year journey, I was not focused on helping other people. I was only focused about putting myself into a better state of mind, a better physical state. I was only focused on working on myself. And it got to the point where I knew that I was ready to then start helping other people. We always hear like contribute, help others. obviously that's really important. You can make a difference in someone's day just by giving them a smile as you walk by them on the street, saying hello, making conversation. But we have to focus on ourselves first before we can then go out to help other people. We have to make our own self-care a habit and a ritual so that by the time we're ready to help other people, we have ourselves not figured out, because everything's always changing. Our goals are always changing, but we have to have our own self-care in a sort of routine that just repeats over and over and over. And only then can we have the energy to help other people.
Yeah, so true. Like I had to make my life change a little bit as well. Back in 2019, like all of a sudden diagnosed with the IBS, and like we talked about earlier as well. I was working under the AC air conditioner, and I got my asthma really, really bad. Within like a 3 months time, just overweight about 26 kg. All of a sudden within, and I don't know, in pound wise, probably more than 50 something pound. And I couldn't recognize myself. I couldn't walk, even so, like over 100 meters, I walked down, then I was like struggling to breathe and everything. Couldn't eat properly because of the IBS, certain food I need to follow through. Then I had to make the change for figuring out what food is triggering the IBS and how am I going to lose weight. Because at the same time, my asthma is really bad, so I can't really run. I can't really walk properly. So I can't do really intensive workout or anything like that. So I have to figure out what kind of food I'm going to consume in order to lose that kind of weight. And I tried all of the kind of diets. So I have to get into like a keto diet. Which I really, really hate it, honestly, because I'm the one who like rice and the
pasta,
kind of pasta,
bread.
bread, also things. All of my life I've been eating like this way. So I did that for like 3 to 4 months, and I saw the change from 96 kg to my weight came down to about 74. Like I started on January 2020 last year, and from there, like from April, I just look at myself as like a completely different person. And I knew like I can't sustain on the same diet plan, like a ketogenic, which is really, really great, but it gives you lots of energy and everything, but I'm missing my food. And I know it's not going to be sustainable for the rest of my life. So I have to go back like a while on my eating habit. But what made my change is like, right now I'm like a 78 kg, which is like a good for me. Like I feel comfortable with it. Not 74 is like a too skinny to be in with my body shape and my height. So I maintained that over a year now, just in the same diet plan. I'm eating like the same kind of amount of rice, same kind of meal, and I'm not on a strict diet. I'm eating like Indian style curry and everything, but have a discipline how much I need to work out in order to lose the kind of weight I'm gaining. Some people doesn't want to do exercise. Right now, I'm just going for a badminton twice a week, like a full session, which is like I burn about 5,000-6,000 calories in them sessions.
Wow.
So that's like intense workout I'm doing. And there, plus I go to mosque 5 times a prayer, which is like a 5 minutes walk from my home. So I don't take my car, even though I can. I'd rather go. So it's like a 10 minutes walk going for each session, also each prayers. And then obviously there in the physical activity in there when you're praying for the Muslim community, we have to go and lay down on the ground and everything. So that's like another session. So I realized over there I'm losing another 150 to 200 calories per prayers. So eventually whole day I'm losing another nearly about 800 to 1,000 calories. And also, so that works out for me, like how much I'm consuming and how much I'm burning, and it's totally fine to balance out my the diet plan. So that's,
what I love about what you're saying. What I love about this is you just said that works for me. And I really think it's really important when people think about fitness. I used to have the same thoughts of, I don't have time for that, right? I'm building a business. I'm working a full-time job. How can I make time to go to the gym and do this strict diet eating plan? And listen, I'm not about hardcore fitness. I'm about lifestyle fitness. I'm about, it only takes maybe 2 strategies that you're not doing right now in order to make a big difference. Like for you incorporated movement into your
Yeah.
life. Like instead of driving the 5 minutes, which you easily could have done, and sometimes you still might want to do it, you instead say to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to walk, because I know that walk there and that walk back might get me 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000 steps. And let me
Yeah.
tell you guys, remember what I said earlier, it's about those small daily steps, like I guess quite literally in this case, that make a difference long term.
It's
So
true.
that 2,000 steps extra 3 times a week makes one hell of a difference, like a
Yeah.
huge difference. Like sometimes there will be a month or two without me where I don't go to the gym, but I know what I must do in order to maintain my current level of health. There's only 2 things that I do, man. And you said one of them, which is movement.
Yeah.
You got to focus on movement every day. Can you get up for 45 minutes to an hour? Go outside for a walk. If it's snowing out and you don't want to go outside in the snow, then go on YouTube, literally with your phone if you want to, put some earbuds in and play a workout video. That's a 30 to 45-minute workout video. Dude, I've burned like 500 calories before in like a 30-minute workout video. Like
Yeah.
just following along with like the dance routines or even yoga. There's so many different things. The key is what you said. Fit into your lifestyle what works for you. For me, that's movement and intermittent fasting, which I wrote about in my book, The
Yeah.
Extraordinary. It's those 2 strategies for me, and intermittent fasting, for those who, I'll just give you literally a 5-second nutshell version of it. I only eat food between the hours of noon and 8 p.m. So I only eat for 8 hours out of the day because that gives me more focus. My
Yeah.
body's not digesting food for 16 hours of the day, which gives me that extra energy and focus to put towards the work that I'm doing or the conversations I'm having. And then when I eat food, I'll eat 2 big meals and then I'm done for the day, right?
Yeah, I do
I'm
the
not
same
starting
now.
my day with a big breakfast or
Yeah.
things like that.
I do the same. Like I eat between 2 to 5 p.m. So that's my like window. So I don't have any kind of breakfast.
That's a great window.
Yeah. So I have the breakfast, but which is like around 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. Like
Nice.
it depends. Like sometimes I have a call or some kind of meeting, so I have to make a little bit adjustment, not too much, like a 1 hour here and there. But other than that, like I'm not waking up 8 o'clock and having a big meal or anything like that. From night before, I probably had my meal, something like a little snack, and then go for sleep. And when I wake up, have some water, and then I let go my all day. And 1 or 2 p.m. have like my breakfast, which is could be toast, beans, or something I love and enjoy having it. It's not like something I hate doing it. Like
Yes.
most people like focus on like what they don't like eating, and also like they focus on a kind of activity they do, which is like they don't enjoy. Like with me, I paid 2 years subscription for like a gym membership, which is 2 years, and I went only 4 or 5 times 2 years time, because I know like I can put myself when I come to like going to the gym. I was like, oh, today is a winter day, today is rainy, or today is too sunny, I'd rather do something else. I
Yes.
keep on excuses. And when I come down to like playing badminton, which is like I get excited, I look forward to Monday, I look forward to my Thursday when it comes to going and play, and I look forward to winning and give a best shot of it. Same with like a prayers. Like I don't really need to go for a walk for walk itself. I'm going for a prayer as the purpose. So I found a way which is working for me. And then
Yes.
because I'm not looking for like a going for a gym 40 minutes or even the half an hour. I can't even do 10 minutes, right? I can do the 10 minutes when I actually get there. The hard part is for me to get there to the gym, like
Yes.
put my gym outfit and everything, get ready and going to there, going back for a shower, and that's going to be make me exhausted because I'm
Yeah.
not enjoying the whole process. So I have to find something like what is actually working for me, and it took me like a years to find out. And I've been doing that just over a year now, and I'm loving it. Right, my weight balance is fine, health is fine, got lots of stamina and everything. That's why I'm being able to do all sort of things. So yeah,
And I'll
like you
tell you, man,
mentioned, yeah.
fitness was that was the one area that when I started focusing on my health, which by the way, I mean, that's the most important area of life for me. My health comes before my family. And some people might hear that and they're like, whoa, how could you say that your health comes before your family? Like, what if your wife wants to do something, but you haven't gotten your workout in? I'll get my workout in. And
Yeah.
maybe we can do something together and get our workout in together. Because if I don't prioritize my health, then I'm not going to be alive for longer. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be alive as long to spend more time with my family. So in order to stay alive, in order to have the energy to give to my family, I have to focus on my fitness. And that was the one area, man, whenever someone's struggling with whatever, whether it's in business or they're struggling with creativity or anything, I always ask them, tell me about your workout routine. Tell me about how you stay fit. Tell me about your movement. And they're like, why are you asking me about that? And it's like, just trust in the process. Tell me
Yeah.
about it. And almost always they say things like what you said. I have a gym membership. I've gone 4 times in 2 years. And it's like, okay, well, that's great. That's one area that could help you with fitness. But what about going outside? What about taking up a sport in your local area with a
Yeah.
team? Like, what about even just going for a walk? And once they start expanding and start saying to themselves, wow, maybe I might enjoy doing this. It's all about finding what you enjoy,
Or could
because
be
it has
gardening,
to be
right?
realistic.
Could be a gardening. Like if
Oh,
you
yeah, it could
enjoy the
be.
gardening and you just put some hours in it, you can do a lot of things, right? Could be like you're going to go to park and play with the children and kids. Go do that.
Have you ever read
Make.
the book? Have you ever read the book called Ikigai?
I heard of the book, but I haven't read it.
Okay, it's an incredible book, and really, your Ikigai is your life's purpose, and which is something a whole else we could talk
Yeah.
about, because that was significant for me. But it comes down to, it talks about these people from the islands of Japan. And there are several islands in Japan where there's more centenarians than anywhere else in the world. Centenarians are people who are living longer than 100 years old.
Yeah.
And they studied the centenarians and they interviewed them and they asked them, what do you attribute to you living so long and to you enjoying your life? And it was only 2 things, man. The first thing is they got outside and they moved every single day. They're out in their garden, like what you just said. They're always moving, and they're only eating what's necessary. They don't eat until they're full. They eat until about 80% capacity, and then they stop. That was the one main thing. The second thing is what you just said. Go have conversations with your community.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends, talk with your neighbors, have relationships with people who mean something to you. Go out there and get yourself into clubs or social circles of people who are doing similar things to yourself. And those 2 things alone are the reason that these people are living lives past 100 years old: movement and the relationships that they have in their life.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but I've seen the YouTube video of this short version of it, like summarize how you summarized it. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah, I've seen that. And yeah, so we can talk about that like all night, like about this stuff. I just wanna know right now, or probably our listeners would be interested to know more about your book. So Be Extraordinary. So what actually motivated to write one, and what's the book about?
Yeah, it's funny actually, because like I told you, I started to train salespeople.
Yeah.
And I started to really feel in my gut that this is what I was meant to do. Not just training people on how to sell more, but I really enjoyed helping other people to make the same changes that I did in my own life. So I was the sales trainer where 30% of what I taught was sales and 70% of what I taught was fitness and how to develop great relationships, which actually helps in sales. Like, that is what sales is, right?
Yeah.
I help people with their money. So now that they're earning more money from the sales tactics, how can you keep it? How can you invest it? How can you create a legacy? How can you create financial freedom? And I started to really enjoy that. And I had a lot of people asking me, Brandon, do you have like literature on this? Do you have like a workbook or anything like that? And people kept asking me, how did you lose 60 pounds? How did you eliminate debt from your life? Because I told everyone the story. And I got sick of answering the same questions. So I was like, rather than repeat myself 100 times to each person, I wanted to create something that was easy to read, something that was short. It wouldn't take you like 5 weeks to get through, a little book that people could go through. They could flip to whatever area of their life they want to make extraordinary, and they could read the chapter and take the challenge at the end of the chapter. So I did that. Let me actually, it's literally right next to me. Let me grab it.
Yeah, sure.
So this is it. It's Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery. And it's a thin book. It's literally 100 pages, and it's split into 5 chapters, and each chapter focuses on a different area of life. And I put them in the order that I had to work on them for myself. So
Right.
chapter 1 is emotional mastery. Chapter 2 is physical mastery, then financial mastery, relationship mastery, and spiritual mastery.
Yeah.
And I guide them, the reader, through exactly how I made those shifts. I give some of my story. I give them actionable things that they can leave and do. And at the end of each chapter is a challenge. There's a 7-day challenge. So, like, for example, your 7-day challenge for emotional mastery is to become more aware of your thoughts throughout your day. Because I used to be in that mindset, like I talked about earlier, a mindset of not having enough, a mindset of scarcity. And once I started to recognize those thoughts, it gave me the power to change them. And it gave me the power to practice different, more empowering thoughts instead. So that's an example of that. And once you follow these challenges for 7 days, at the end of those 7 days, you're going to notice significant positive shifts in your everyday life.
Wow, that's so great. And congratulations on the new book.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Obviously we can't touch everything on the book, and I wouldn't do that because I want people to go and buy it and read it themselves so they can understand properly rather than summarize it in short, because there is you mentioned there is challenge as well, 7 days challenge and everything they need to take. I'm going to touch on on a financial aspect of it. I think is a most concerning at the moment, and people are going through is all about the financial things. Like I moved to a different town about 7 months now, and before I was in a different town, which is a half an hour drive from where I live now. And with our community, every time I go to prayer mosque or I go to a cash and carry, doing my shopping and everything, all of them business owners. I had a restaurant back then about 5-6 years back with my brother, and every time I see any individual from our community, they were like, well, how much did you make on Friday night in the restaurant business? How's the business was? Is it busy or something? Instead of his asking me how am I doing, how's my health is, how's family doing, they always talking about money and everything. Even though right now, if I visit see my friends or family members, they're like, how's your work going, or is it busy, or is everything stable? And they start talking about their business or their job. I'm not happy, or I'm not making enough. It's always related to the money and everything. It's not having enough, or how can I get to the next level? So those who's all the time on that kind of rat race, it's kind of rat race, right? Is 90%, 99% of the time we're only thinking about money, which we've talked about before earlier. If you have enough oxygen, we're not thinking about it. If you have enough water, enough food, we're not thinking about all the time. But when it's come down to money, it's we're always thinking about, even though we have enough to pay our bills, enough on the savings, still we are chasing of what car you have, what houses you have. So from there, how can we move our mindset to focus on the things we actually matter, like our families, health, and everything else?
I talk about this a lot, and I think I like what you just said. How can we focus our mindset on the things that matter most? And I think that what matters most is very personal to the person listening. What mattered most to me at the very beginning wasn't money, because I had that. What mattered most to me was focusing instead on the one area of my life that was lacking the most, which was my physical body. Now, there might not be someone. I know there's many people listening who are in great shape, who they might even have a significant other, a spouse, a great family relationships, but they're broke. And they're like, what do I do? I'm broke, but I look good, right? And the answer is start focusing on that one area of life. Really, listen, man, there's no secret. I mean, you educate yourself, right? You get a book on finances. I read 2 financial books before I was able to get myself out of debt and start saving up a nest egg and start investing that nest egg. I read 2 books, literally. Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey and Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, which was a big book. So that was like $3 in one. But I read 2 books. It took me a month to read the books and apply what they taught. And really, it comes down to what you said. It comes down to focus. If finances are the number one area that you want to focus on, then educate yourself financially. That's the one thing that's missing, man. And listen, I don't think it's people's fault that they're broke. I think it's their fault once they realize they're broke and they decide to do nothing about it. That's when I think it's their fault, because we weren't taught in school how to make money. We weren't taught how to keep it. We weren't taught how to multiply it and make more of it through business or investments or both, or whatever you decide to do. You simply educate yourself. You find a vehicle that can earn you enough money to where you don't have to think about money. That's really the threshold. What is the threshold? It's really important to ask yourself, what do I need to be earning each month in order to survive? This was an exercise I did with all of my new salespeople, and it blew my mind how many people don't know two things. They don't know how much money they even need to survive. They never did the math. And when I say how much do you need to survive, that means how much do you need to literally pay the car payment, pay the mortgage or your rent, pay the utilities so that the lights don't turn off, and buy just the amount of food that you need in order to live. You're not going out and eating at bougie restaurants. Like, what do you need in order to survive? And then most people don't know how much they're actually earning. They don't even know how much they're bringing in. They just get the money in their bank account. They pay all their bills first. And then whatever's left over, they use to spend on other things. Some people just spend and they don't have any money left over for bills, right? So you need to become very clear on, what do I need to live and how much am I bringing in? And then ask yourself, what is the amount? I call this the better lifestyle income goal. What is the amount you need in order to not have to think about and worry about and stress about money? Like, what is that amount? For me, after I was earning 60 grand, man, like, everything else was just extra. That was enough for me, right? And that I probably didn't even need that much. I was still recklessly spending at that point too. But what you need financially is a lot less than you might have been led to believe by all the Instagram influencers out there in the world. I used to think to myself, like, I'll have made it once I'm earning millions of dollars and I've got the Rolls Royce and I've got the Ferrari and all these things. And I realized, I don't know if I necessarily even want all those things. My business really exploded, man, once I asked myself instead, not what things do I want or how much money I want to be earning, but instead I asked myself, what do I want my ideal day to look like? And once I became very clear of what an ideal or perfect day looked like, it was waking up at 6 or 7 a.m., right? I'm not getting up at 4. I used to get up at 5 because it was a whole trend, right? But I stopped. I found that 6 to 7 a.m. was perfect for me. Sometimes even 8 a.m. I'll get up. I'll accomplish my most important tasks in the first 2 to 3 hours of the day. And after 3 to 4 p.m., all of my work is complete. And I've earned 400 times more money this year with my business than I did the last year. And I quote unquote work less. I don't want people to think I'm not working, because in the time that I am working, I accomplish more than I used to accomplish in several weeks. But that focus and that intention and knowing what it is I wanted, that wasn't just a number, helped to significantly transform my business, and it helped me to be that much more productive in my life.
And just is reduce it. Like, you don't really care about the money side. You focus on the people, you focus on the team, you focus on the product or services you're doing, rather than when it's about me and you're just only thinking about me. Like, when I'm making 100 grand a month or 10 grand a month or 20 grand a month, it's just about you. It's not about the person you're creating any value for them. When you hit the goal, then you stop caring about the person or your client or like your customer, and giving yourself a best shot. And when you actually for like, oh, my everything is taken care of, my bills are fine, and I can survive with the money I'm making, so why am I doing business right now? I'm just helping them. So helping them, my clients, to achieve their goal, helping my customer to get best product, best services. And then obviously money gonna flow through. Like, you don't really have to worry about that. It's automatically. And I think like also you focus on your system rather than like outcomes and everything.
Wow, so valuable, man. Yeah, I love everything you're saying here. And I think it's important to say again too, that you have to have your own systems in place for yourself at the same time. So remember, everyone listening, you have to make sure that your own life is taken care of before you can then start to help other people. Like I said, I work with a lot of coaches because most coaches don't have clients, but they call themselves coaches. And the reason for that is because they haven't yet fully worked on themselves. So coaches are often confused when we start working together. And most of the work, 80% of the work at the beginning is self-work. And they're
Yeah.
like, why are we doing this? I thought you were going to show me how to get clients. And it's like, I will, but your client has to see that you're practicing your own principles with yourself first. Once you get your own self-care systems underway, that's when your entire focus has to go to other people, because after you're focused on you, you can only get to a certain point where now that focus has to go towards them, taking care of your clients, delivering as much value as possible, and truly finding the client. Though I think it's important to say, finding the ideal client for you, the client that you really enjoy working with. Because listen, man, we've all worked with clients that robbed our joy, even though they've been paying us. It's like, dude, I'd rather not accept this money and just fire the client so that I can work with people who I do enjoy working with. But I believe that you've got to start working with people in order to truly find out who that ideal client really is, you know?
It's true. It's true. Absolutely. You don't want to get like create a new boss or someone, like a toxic people. Some of the
Yeah.
clients, like they're gonna text you middle of the night, uh, even the weekends and everything. They're gonna tell you like a unrealistic expectation they have, and that's not like something you want to bring into your life, especially like with those who are self-employed or like are running a business. You're running a business because of the freedom you want, right?
Yes.
You don't want to get into the trap like the boss and everything. And I think everyone should have like a confidence to talk back, like when you need to necessarily talk, like even though your boss, if you're employed in a job or something, if someone is like constantly messaging you, bringing your job to your home or like where it's not supposed to, and
Mm.
telling you everything, and you're losing, and you're scared of like, or if I say something back to him, I'm going to lose my job or I'm going to lose my client. You shouldn't do that. Like if something is bothering you, just have the communication, like you tell them like, this is not comfortable I'm talking about, or this is not something part of my resume or my job criteria, and I'm not going to do certain things. And if it doesn't, like universe going to open up the opportunities for you. If you believe in a God, I believe in God, so God have something is ready for you. When you go through
Yes.
that and you realize this is not something for me, and eventually another door is opens for you, and then it happens time to time.
You know, I'd even ask yourself in that situation too, like, what is this client experience or even boss experience? Like,
Yeah,
what lesson is this trying to teach me? Because you just said, I know that, God has a plan for this, right? Like, whatever you believe, guys, whether it's the universe, God, infinite intelligence,
yeah,
karma, like, I also believe that there is this greater framework that we have absolutely no earthly idea how everything is rolling out. It just kind of does. And I always ask myself, like, this tension between in this relationship, this stress and worry that I'm feeling, like, what lesson is this
mm,
trying to teach me? And take a lesson out of it, and even ask yourself, like, is there something that I can do in order to help fix this situation? I take ownership first. I think it's important, because I know some people listening might be like, yeah, I don't like my boss. My boss is this, my boss is that. Well, are you 100% sure that it's not you that's
yeah,
causing the problem, right? And always make sure that it's not you first. And the best way to do that is to take ownership, take responsibility, work to mend that relationship, set your own expectations with your boss or your client. And then if it continues, it's like, okay, maybe it's not me, maybe it's them. It's time to fire my boss. It's time to fire my client, and find one of many millions of different vehicles out there that can help me to grow financially and in business.
yeah. So powerful, man. Yeah, it's so true though, isn't it? It's so true. Like you have to find yourself first, like what am I doing right or wrong, then actually go for
Yes.
others. Like you need to find your own problem or like your own fault first. We oftentimes we don't do that. Comes down to career wise or business wise and a job, or like in a relationship wise, we always tend to often point out to someone else, like you're the one, the reason I couldn't do it, you're the one is the problem. Could be like a spouse. Oftentimes the actual problem happened in the family, which is like my wife's fault, my husband's fault. If he did that, then wouldn't be doing that. What about you? You need to ask yourself how many times like you had a set expectation for yourself, how many times you fulfilled yourself. How can you expect someone going to do that like you couldn't do it yourself, right? You have to understand, is a realistic expectation you're having on someone else, or if not, like for example, you want like a religious wife or your partner, a spiritual partner, and you're not spiritual yourself. and you knew like at the beginning of it, she's never going to be spiritual. This is how she is. And you having the expectation, why after I got married like 1 or 2 years, like why not she's a spiritual person, why she's not the person I wanted to be. Or could be something like you want to propel into fitness and you got married to someone else, she's not into fitness, she love how she looks and everything, that's totally fine. And you trying to take her to gym 5 times a week or something and have the kind of expectation. And you have to understand like this is the person, is she wants to be the person I want, or did you have the kind of communication before you get to involved in a certain kind of relationship? It's the same as like the way I talked on another podcast episode I mentioned, you having expectation the fish to fly in the sky, which is never going to happen. The fish born to like swim in the river or like ocean. So how much you scream or tell the fish, well, why don't you fly? Why can't you fly? Why are you so stupid? Why are you so dumb? Why not flying in the sky? Because he's not going to, because he wasn't born this way. And if you
Yes.
ask like the bird, why don't you swim in the river? Why don't you go under the ocean and go catch the fish underneath it? And they're not going to do that. Certain
Yes.
birds are doing it, that's totally fine. But most of the case,
Oh,
90% of the time, the bird's not going to go under the water and swim there, right?
oh man, everyone rewind 2 minutes and listen to that again, because that is some absolute wisdom, brother. Let me tell you, especially when it comes to relationships, when it comes to entrepreneurs listening,
Yeah.
who they might not have the world's most supportive spouse or supportive significant other or even supportive family. The greatest exercise I could recommend to anyone, specifically with your significant other, is exactly what you just said. You have to be on the same page. And listen,
Mm,
sometimes the page can be similar, the words are just differently structured, because
yeah.
my wife recently got me this ideas book, and she's like, I want you to write down, this can be anything that you want to write down ideas in. She always likes to get me nice gifts like that, and I'm a writer, so I love to write.
Yeah.
And I went to her because I heard on a podcast, this isn't my own idea, I heard on a podcast, we spend so much time focusing on our goals that we never generally even ask our significant other what they're focused on, what their vision
Mm,
is, what their goals are. And I asked myself, when's the last time I actually asked Bree, my wife, what her goals were, what her vision was? And I felt bad. I felt ashamed because it's been a long time since I've
yeah.
asked. So I went to her and I said, Bree, I'm going to take this journal and I'm going to write down what I envision our next 3 to 5 years to look like. And
Yeah.
she's like, okay. And I said, but I would love if you went in the journal after me, didn't read what I wrote, and wrote down what your next 3 to 5 years look like for us together, for you personally.
Mm.
And she said, maybe I might do that. She gives me a hard time all the time. And she did it that day. And I thought it was incredible. But I came home and she's like, I wrote in your journal. And I was like, really? And I opened it, and our visions were very similar, which was funny because she read mine after she wrote hers. They
Yeah.
were similar, which is they have to be, man. In order for a relationship to be compatible, you can't be with someone who doesn't want you to be doing what you're doing, right? So if your
Sure.
dream is to build something giant, a giant business, or if your mission is a global mission where you're going to be traveling, doing these things, but they're not on the same page, it's going to be very difficult, if not
Yeah.
impossible, because they are your quote unquote other half, right? But I read hers, and while some things were different, we were able to, in a way, compromise with each other. We were able to understand each other's worldview a bit better. And I can't express enough the difference that created in our relationship and our communication with each other. And for anyone with a significant other, I think it's the most valuable exercise you can leave this podcast and go do. I think it's so important for every person in a relationship.
Yeah, that's great, man. It's like a spot on you've just mentioned, and I can totally relate it on that. Like before we got married, I've been married 3.5 years now, and we got together about 4 years back. So that time when we actually get to know each other, we had like a proper uh, talk, like a couple of hours. What I'm expecting from her, what she expecting from me, and everything. Even though, like I told her, like I've recently started my business, I don't know how is it going to be successful or not. So you have to be there, like to understand if the business doesn't go broke. So we have to be broke. You can't really expect like I'm going to buy a house in next 2-3 years, because
Yeah.
the business can take some time, probably 5 years time or 10 years time before we buy it. And I don't want to buy with a mortgage. I want to pay off cash when I can afford it. So you have to have that kind of mindset. I don't want you to look like your friends or my friends, they're buying a house, they're doing certain things, and we are not doing it, because this is not some kind of vision I have. My vision to make my multi-million dollar business where I need to be, I have the other things I need to do. So we understood together, and that really stuck out. Like right now, even though my in-laws and everyone, if they ask her why your husband not buying a house and everything, and I don't have to say anything, she's taking care of everything. And like we decided we not to, we're gonna buy on the cash, and we are just thinking where we're gonna move and everything. Are we gonna stay in the UK? We're gonna move to Dubai or going to US? We don't know yet. So we don't want to trap into something like buying our forever home, and then we have to move back within a year, because I don't know
Yeah.
how my husband business is going to be and where we're heading to, and how many kids we want and how big we house we want, because we are under 30. I'm 27, she's 27, so we have
Yeah.
plenty of time ahead and think about it. So we are both on the same page on a religious stuff, you say business stuff, you say personal relationship goal, everything we're on the same page. That's why it makes it so much easier. So I don't really have to think about my relationship and too much, because it's an autopilot. I don't have to explain to her every time, because she knows where I'm at. And
Yes.
every time we discuss it, right, every night we are discussing where I'm heading, one needs to make some changes and everything.
That's amazing.
Because during the pandemic, the business plan and everything has changed, like
Yes.
for everyone. And most of the time people hide it and don't share with their family. So one of my friend, he lost his job during the pandemic, and he didn't tell his wife he was looking for it and everything. And his wife got proper upset, like, why didn't you share with me? Like, you lost your
Yeah.
job, I can refer you somewhere, or like I can tell you somewhere. But he didn't actually do that. And I think, which is like that kind of things, kills your relationship. That actually
Yes.
tells like you don't have the trust on your spouse or something. Wherever you go through, like you own it and you just share it with your spouse, because it's not you. When it's two people working together, you can conquer anything, and I believe that.
Damn. Well said. Yeah. Communication, man,
Yeah.
with your spouse, relationships, with your boss, with your clients, communication, and even communication, most importantly, with yourself, the self
Mm,
talk that you feed into your own mind. Communication is one of the greatest skills that we can ever improve in. So I 100% resonate with everything that you just said.
yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, so we're running out of time for this podcast. I know we can go on and on, but time is limited. So thank you, Brandon, for coming to the show. And before we wrap up, I want our audience to know where they can find your book if they want to buy or read your book, and also how they can reach out to you if anyone wants to work with you or know more about you.
Absolutely. So the best place to find out more about me is from my business website. It's bebetterindustriescom bebetterindustriescom. You'll find a link on that page to check out my book. It's Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery on Amazon, where
Yeah.
you can check out a copy. And the best place if you want to really start focusing on you and transform yourself, and then discover your purpose and use it to help others, is my YouTube channel. You can find me on YouTube at Brandon Eastman. And I've got over 200 video trainings on there that you can go through in whatever area of life you're looking to focus on next.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Brandon. So I really appreciate you coming to the show and share about your book, also about your journey. And that was great, man. It was like a great show we had. And yeah, thank you so much for the good luck with your book, and also about your business and your life also. And
Same to you, my friend. Thank you very
hey,
much for the opportunity, Russell.
you too, man. And for enjoy your holiday season as well. Like lots of holidays coming soon. We are in
Yes,
November, December, like a
it's
Christmas
coming up,
coming.
brother.
Yeah, Thanksgiving as well. So enjoy all your holidays, and wish you
Same to
good luck
you.
on your new year.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm excited to have you on the show. So I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Take
Brandon.
care, brother. Bye.
So that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Like, you know how to find Brandon and his book. Also, go check out his stuff. And yeah, till then, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.